Welcome to another edition of Spark the Conversation. This is your host, Mark the Spark. And today we're going to talk about the fact that the left, this is actually one of my favorite features of the left, the fact that they always eat their own. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. We're going to get into it with some clips and more. Here we go. So the first person the left turned on that I want to talk about is Chuck Schumer. Now, don't get me wrong. It does not bother me. The fact that they turn on their own is actually one of my favorite features of theirs. The fact that eventually, because they're progressives, right? They always want to progress and they're always going to leave people behind. If you have any kind of moral standard that you refuse to cross, any line that you don't want to go, beyond in your morals, then you will be left behind at some point. And that is the point when they will eat you. Chuck Schumer had this happen to him with the continuing resolution recently, trying to fund the government for 6 more months while they come up with a final spending package. And now they're talking about how he had to actually cancel a book tour that he was doing about anti-Semitism because he was afraid of protests overwhelming his events. Here's a story on that.
Then the top Democrat in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, going as far as not saying he has confidence in Chuck Schumer. That was a remarkable moment on Friday. Now, we have learned that Schumer and Jeffries did meet behind closed doors yesterday in Brooklyn, trying to get back on the same page. They have huge and consequential fights ahead, but the backlash from the left is real. In fact, Wolf, Chuck Schumer is scheduled to do a book tour in a number of cities on a book that he has authored on anti-Semitism. He has just canceled that book tour, we are learning, because of protests that were scheduled from activist groups who wanted to go after his decision to agree and allow the government funding bill to go forward to avoid a government shutdown.
So he had to shut down this book tour just because the fact that they had security concerns in doing it when protests were scheduled by these leftist groups that just left him behind. They weren't done progressing because they never are. And he drew a line in the sand and refused to cross it. And that made them angry. And now that he's on the outs and they've canceled him basically. So we'll see if he can come back from that. Now AOC is talking about possibly primarying him for his Senate position. And now, of course, he goes on The View and he's talking about the next person they cancel, the oligarch Elon Musk.
So a lot of people responded to the anguish. I appreciate it. I wake up 3 a.m. sometimes so worried about the future of the country under these oligarchs or or whatever, oligarchs, yeah, I guess.
Yes.
And
And of course, that is who he's talking about here is Elon Musk. He wakes up so mad because Elon Musk is an oligarch and he's taking over the country. And now, of course, we're seeing all these district judges trying to take over the executive branch of the government, telling Donald Trump that he can't fire even workers that are on probation, that now they're telling him he can't make cuts to the USAID, even money that hasn't been allocated yet. He must spend it, they're telling him, these district judges who are way outside their jurisdiction, trying to make him bring the Tren de Aragua gang members who are vicious criminals, dangerous criminals, trying to make them turn the plane that was over international waters and bring them back into the U.S. It's absolutely insane. And even now, SpaceX now just rescued a 3 astronauts from the space station, or even 4 actually, brought down 4 astronauts that were stranded for 9 months on the International Space Station because Boeing's, I think it's called the Dreamliner or Starliner, could not make a safe flight back as determined by NASA. And they cannot say thank you to Elon Musk. But here is a former astronaut on Fox News who is able to acknowledge that Elon Musk has saved the U.S. space program.
But this is a moment for America to celebrate. And also a big thanks to President Trump and Elon Musk for just saying, you bet, let's get him home.
Absolutely. Elon Musk saved the U.S. space program. If it wasn't for Elon Musk, we would not be able to fly U.S. astronauts from U.S. soil to the International Space Station. There's no doubt about it. We stopped flying astronauts on Space Shuttle in 2011.
And not just with SpaceX, but also with Tesla. Because we've seen not only a downturn in the stock prices of Tesla because of the fact that these crazy loony lefties who loved Tesla because it was the leading and is the leading alternative fuel vehicle right now. But they can't handle it because all of a sudden he's switched sides, although really he didn't. He was just left behind. And so now they're not only not buying his stuff, but they're attacking Tesla dealerships. They're attacking random Tesla owned vehicles. They're even doxing Tesla owners now and going after them, listing their home addresses on websites in order to make it easier for these crazy lefties to attack them. Here's Donald Trump in an interview talking about the fact that these are terroristic attacks on Teslas.
Lunatics are setting fire to Teslas all across the country. Another horrible incident happened in Las Vegas last night. The FBI is on the scene investigating, and there's an ongoing investigation being led by Pam Bondi. In what you've seen so far, do you consider what's happening an act of domestic political terrorism against one of your allies?
So Elon is a patriot. And again, I hardly knew Elon until the, election. And he turned out that he liked me better than he liked these radical lunatics that were in it, better than Kamala, better than Joe, because he's an intelligent person. He backed me, and he went. And he got very much involved. He actually would go around saying, if Trump doesn't win, our country is over.
But do you consider this an act of domestic terrorism?
I think so.
Why?
I think that if and when they catch the people, and I hope they do, the good thing is they have a lot of cameras in those places, and they've caught some already having to do with that. I think that you will find out that they're paid by people that are very highly political on the left.
And so clearly that is the last person that they left behind as well. They left Elon Musk in the dust because he wouldn't progress with them. He wouldn't be the far left leaning person that he once was because he really didn't change, and he really didn't change his values. They changed theirs. Like I said, the progressives never stop progressing. They always want to keep moving the line, shifting the social morality beyond where it used to be. And if you're not ready to cross your line, if you have a point where you're not going any further, then they will cancel you next. The next shakeup is, we talked about the fact that they have no leadership in the Democratic Party right now, no clear person that's going to be their presidential candidate for 2028. And the fact is shown in Tim Walz. He was the last vice presidential candidate. So you'd think he would be at least, in the top few choices. He has less than 1% in the last poll of who would be the next presidential candidate, less than 1%. Here's a clip of him on with Gavin Newsom. And I get why he's not popular. He should have never been popular, but I wouldn't think anybody on their side is. But here's a little clip of why.
And then they demonize people.
Yeah, demonize, and they weaponize grievance. They other people. They talk down to people, past people. They humiliate people. They weaponize difficult issues. But the bottom line is, and I think it goes back to what we began with, is, and I applaud you for this, is we cannot continue to be on the defense reacting to this. We've got to go on the offense. We got to meet people where they are. But I also think this, and this is where, this is part of the conversation I'm trying to have, is you got to respect people you disagree with, and you can't just dismiss people. This
How do you fight it?
And this
I
notion
think
of
I could kick most of their ass. I do think that if they wanted to. I know I can outrun them, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to. Okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight here type of thing.
And you see the Gavin Newsom had that awkward chuckle at the end because he's like, I don't think you're beating anybody up. You better go back into your safe space because you're going to get yourself in a position you can't get yourself out of. He's like a squirrel outside a cage, man. This guy's a wild animal. Remember when he was on stage and he's dancing? He's like a lunatic, like holy cow. But you'd think he'd do better with the left because they love that kind of stuff on their side of the aisle. But I can see why he's not popular. However, he just can't drum up popularity with them because he has been left behind. Now, the last person I want to bring up is John Fetterman. Of course, he seems to be the only sane person on the left these days. He has that moral line that he seems to have stuck to. I don't know if it's a recovery from his stroke that shook something loose, or he's always been this kind of center left Democrat. He has some places where he's strayed, and it kind of throws me for a loop when he makes sense, and then sometimes he sounds like an absolute lunatic himself. But he's been canceled as well. And here's a clip about what he stands for.
Do you think he has the potential to be a successful and a good president?
I hope, because I'm not rooting against him. If you're rooting against the president, you are rooting against the nation. And I'm not ever going to be where I want a president to fail. So country first. I know it's become maybe like a cliche, but it happens to be true.
So he's even willing to say that he wants Donald Trump to succeed. He's willing to say America first, even though he won't use the words, but he did say country first, and we know that that is what he actually means. So that, of course, means you've crossed the line. You will not progress with us. That's what the left says. You will not come to the extreme that we're willing to drive you to. And if you're not going to come all the way over here, then we are going to cancel you next. And this is a clip of how that went.
Fetterman, you can't hide! You're supporting genocide! 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 Fetterman, you can't hide! You're supporting genocide!
And of course, Israel is the big dilemma on the left, one of many that they can't seem to agree on. The more and more issues that come up that they used to be moderate on, and the extremist part of their party, which is actually a minority. The interesting part is the minority of their party is actually driving the extremism, and it's pushing them far left. And they have this divide within their party, which is breaking them apart. It's usually a problem actually on the Republican side of the aisle, and it's actually good to see that it has switched for this term. And maybe they won't be able to get it together for 2028. Maybe they won't be able to get it together for a decade. I hope it keeps going and going. And so this is why their party numbers are in the dumps. Part of it is because of their extremism. Part of it is because they cannot gather themselves, they cannot course correct, and they have a split between the extremist part of their party and the old-fashioned Democrats, your typical liberal Democrats. And here's the clip about the numbers just being in the tank.
Yeah, certainly that is notable. And it all comes, we should note, as the Democratic Party's favorability rating hit an all-time low, right? What's behind this?
Yeah, this is the lowest in CNN's polling in the last 30 years, a real warning sign for the Democratic Party right now. And it's really driven in large part, not just as you can see on your screen, that 29% of voters have a favorable view of the Democratic Party. That is among all voters. But when you drill down into the numbers, Pamela and Wolf, the real issue is among Democratic voters themselves. They are starting to lose more and more confidence with their own party. And in fact, in that same poll, roughly 61% of Democratic voters view their party favorably, compared to Republican voters is about 78% or so of Republican and Republican-leaning voters view their party favorably. And this shift has been really remarkable since January 2017 until now, double digits in approval rating for the Democratic Party. So
well, of course, their loss is our gain, and I'm here for it for every second. I hope that they continue to eat their own. It is, like I said, the downfall of their party, and it is my favorite feature of the left, that they have this extremist part that have been allowed too much leash and now has decided that they can just take over the party and run things. And I hope that continues because it allows us to actually make America great again, to continue to flourish and get better and improve, to make the economy better without them there to get in the way. We just have this problem with these judges, these district judges that have been put in place by the extreme left secretly in the middle of the night. It was their last-ditch effort to protect their version of what they think the country and society should be, which is absolute Looney Tunes. And we need to figure out a way to stop this from happening. I mean, it's completely unconstitutional. It's not how the judicial system was designed. The Supreme Court is going to have to come out and make a ruling on this, and hopefully they figure it out and take ownership of their power again and make the right call. Anyways, Thanks for watching today. Glad you could join. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with a friend, leave a comment below, and come back tomorrow. See ya.